Okay.
All right, I guess we can do our Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so old business, approve the minutes from October 2nd. Did anyone have any comments,
No.
questions, or it was good, right? I think,
Yeah.
right?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Howard, how are you? Are you ready for your
No,
report?
I'm ready.
We'll let you get going on the report. Not much going on today.
Okay, some of it is redundant. I think we talked about the town board meeting where CAC was given $1,500 as a credit line. And
Yes,
had thanks to Leslie Heaney, basically.
yes.
Said I want that done, so that's good. We've got that credit line restored, and they said that if you need more, you have to come to them, but you can get more. That would be really good. Okay, that's all for them. The Argot thing is very interesting, but very little applies to us. The only thing that was actually mentioned that remotely is a CAC sort of an issue is that they may need water to fill this, but they didn't have any evidence that that would be a problem. Fill the pool.
Right.
And it was a very interesting, after the ZBA won the Article 78, they came back with another application or a similar application, and it was really just a duel between the two attorneys. It was quite lengthy. These things are on the Zoom, by the way, if anybody's interested. They missed it the first time around. And that was it. The only minor thing, I don't know if you want to discuss this or not, is man-made environmental changes. It does affect the neighborhood, the people. Because in fact, the people living on either side of Mr. Yargat were opposed to it. So this is a man-made environmental change. I don't know if we comment on that because that's kind of subjective from the two sides, but
Yeah.
it kind of, touching on something we could say something about. I don't know, how personally, do you take one side or the other? How do you prove it's harmful or not harmful? And that is where that ended. They're going to be coming back again next month.
Yeah.
The attorneys had lengthy briefs that they turned in. Really, I was kind of surprised, and that was all that went on there. Okay, now we get the planning board, which again, the same thing. You really have to watch this thing on Zoom. It's quite complicated. And various things go on with that. The clear people were the only ones on there, just them.
Okay.
They have a very good team that they hired the second time around. The first time around, they sort of thought they could blow it through because we're just a little town. We wouldn't know any, in my opinion, a little town, we wouldn't be that technical with them. Turned out we were a little technical with them. So they came back with a much more sophisticated presentation this time. And they had an environment. One of the questions was the bob turtle.
Right.
And they had an environmental expert did a report, and if you read through the report, it's, it looks like a typical well done report, but it doesn't really, it's not really definitive 100%. It's their what they saw, what they went through. Our wetland administrator also walked around, Steve Marino, and he concurred with the report. So the buffers for the bob turtle are not going to be part of the project. Because they claim there's no bob, even though there are bob turtles within a mile or two away, that the bob turtle will not transverse that much distance, according to them. And they found no evidence of an existing bob turtle habitat. Well, habitat, but no bob turtle.
Okay.
So it's unlikely, according to their expert, that the bob turtle who live nearby would migrate So that went out the window. And then the interesting part came up about, if I put it in here or not, I'm playing a little sloppy. The environmental, it's the buffers, not the buffers, the building envelopes, you know, or building envelope.
You said it would be
Is it?
most likely next time discussed more.
Okay. That is something that we did some work on.
Mhm.
Specifically, Pam did an excellent letter that they said they have, by the way.
Right.
And building envelopes are in the zoning code itself. There's a
Mhm.
section for how big a building envelope can be, depending on what's your property is like. And I think our opinion was that everything outside that building envelope, because of these, almost everything, because of the type of terrain that's there and the type of property it is, probably should be protected.
That's right.
And the other word that is important is in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we made the point that the planning board does not have to approve anything.
Anything,
Not a
yeah.
requirement that somebody comes in with a subdivision, if they say, yes, you can have a subdivision,
Right.
up to their judgment. And,
And that's true with any lot. I mean, it doesn't have to be a subdivision. It just can be somebody wanting to split their own lot in two. The planning board can say no.
all right, so this is kind of where we are on that. And then, there's going to be a public meeting then, somewhere. This must be the shorter word. Turned it off here. There's going to be a public meeting next time. This was a workshop,
Mm-hmm.
which means people can come and talk, and they will also be doing a seeker review.
So this is at the December 3rd planning board
Yeah, this
meeting.
is the next month's planning.
Okay.
Now, if you remember, we did go through a seeker review with them before on some other property, which escapes my memory at the moment. They did a seeker review on something very recent.
Wasn't that the mine?
It could be the mine.
Yeah.
So there's one part is they go through the list of the secret itself, and they make their judgment calls. And the second part is they go through environmental factors on their own that might be significant. And that part gets rather interesting. I believe there were some challenges to their interpretations of a lot of their own review as to whether it was harmful or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming up on the clear. The lead agents, the lead architect, the lead, what would you call the person that does the presentation for the woman? She's
The lead attorney. She's
the lead attorney.
yeah. She's the attorney. This is Jennifer Van Toyle.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
so
she's
the lead attorney.
Yeah.
She's going to be preparing a statement for the public meeting, and it will be, I asked this specifically, will it be 2 weeks ahead of time? Yes. Will it be on the town website? Yes.
Okay.
And that should be very interesting. Because in my own personal opinion, I think she's quite competent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's going on there with that. Then there's the beaver thing came up.
Yeah.
This was after they adjourned the planning board public meeting. However, there's a section in the zoning law somewhere, New York State, that as long as they're at a group of them are together and they're talking about business, it's still an open meeting.
That's right.
So this came up in an open meeting then. And maybe some of you know more about what happened before with this. This is the Diane Road, I think that's how they say that. Diane Road, Diane Road. There's a beaver dam and there's a dispute with the neighbors and the person who has beavers on their property as to what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some New York State code on this that you have to follow. And there are some fines if you don't follow the code.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, who gets involved with them? I mean, if somebody says you did all this without any permission from the DAC, there are fines and penalties, which are mainly fines So I could find on the internet with fines. I don't think it said 15 days in jail anywhere. It might have said that somewhere.
It might do.
So the question is, who does this? Do we refer this back to the building inspector? Are we supposed to look into this? As to what,
So the, because what she has been doing,
well, you know more about that one.
the property owner, what the property owner's been up to, everything that allegedly has happened is, some of it is violations, with the DEC, some of it is violations with the town. She has no permits for wetlands, application of any kind for any activity in her wetlands. So she's not allowed to technically do anything, and we supersede the DEC. She does have to have permits from them, but she also has to have them from us.
Meaning the town.
The town. So she can't do anything.
Well, what about, let's say, destroying the dam
So
or killing the beavers?
So she can get a permit from DEC if it is causing trouble on her property, but she still has to get a wetlands permit from the town of Washington to approve anything being done there. If she wanted to destroy the dam, lower the dam, there are different things that can happen. But again, we have a wetlands law that she has to abide by. She cannot remove the beavers without them being trapped. You have to have a licensed trapper do that. That's not happened.
And it's in season.
So it's in season.
So
That's a violation.
so is the town going to take any enforcement action
The
against
town
her?
has written a letter to her and has also copied the neighbors so that everyone's on the same page and they're aware of the laws. All of the things have been spelled out, including violations, what charges, what expense would have to be paid and such. They have made her aware of her violations.
Will they make her pay
Okay.
anything? Hope so.
It's the way it's been written, I believe so. So they're not letting it slide.
So are the neighbors considering filing a complaint with the building inspector?
The building inspector, I believe, is aware of the neighbors' concerns. I think the neighbors are going to go and look and see what they can do federally as well. Because it is a federal wetlands, it's state wetlands, and it is our wetlands. So there's a lot of ways that they can go about it.
Well, there's something on the website, let's look briefly, and it says nuisance beaver, or nuisance beaver. And it means that the person who lives on that property has some things they can go to the DEC for. And if they can prove it, the DEC will
Correct.
try to help correct it.
Correct.
Can we list the property in the minutes? If it came up at the open
It
meeting,
came
was
up
it?
at
Yeah,
the-
yeah, it can be
came
listed.
up- They all sat at the table.
I don't know if I have the address. I can get you that.
And they discussed it at the
It's
table.
big on Dyken Road.
It's the Beaver Dam all day,
Yeah.
everyone knows. Unfortunately, all of us know. I can get that for you in a second. But yeah, I mean, yes, she, has the right, if it is causing problems on her land that she can't fix. That's the same as other situations that we
And,
Well,
have.
I think
and
the
she
DEC
needs permits.
has-
That's-
She 100% needs, yes.
permits. And
She has to come to the town and say, this is the problem. I need a permit to fix this problem. Whether it's a wetlands, whether it's a septic, whatever the problem is, she needs to be able to fix it. If she can't fix it, then she can use alternative methods, but she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing based on our town law.
She initially, she didn't know, and now she knows. The town is gonna follow up on it, so we
Yeah.
should make sure.
The town, we thought followed up on it the last
Yeah.
time, but there's, at this time, the letter, and since we've, had another building inspection, we don't know. They have been looking for the other letter that she sent, but he may have just verbally told her.
I can't find anything. I don't have a great set of files. I have some files. I can't find any letter previously on my computer at least.
No, it was James was supposed to send her a letter, whether he did it verbally or a letter they haven't found yet. So that is where that is.
So do we make a recommendation to James, not James, to, what's his name, Jonathan?
It sounds like things are in motion. We don't need to.
There's nothing we need to do at this moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
James, Jonathan has done what needs to be done.
Okay, good.
And we're just going to support him as needed.
Yeah.
All right, good. That sounds
So
just a logical way to go.
the address, but I'm not sure about that.
You can add it to minutes later.
Yeah. So yeah, that's apparently every other number except for the number I want. All right.
Okay, I have
Anything else?
one more thing
Yeah.
so that we discussed.
Yeah.
Pam has that big minutes section there in hard copy, and I don't know, this is supposed to be a change in the town law.
Mm.
And if you give this to the average person, even maybe somebody who's knowledgeable as Pam, it's very hard to go through and find out what's changed.
It is. And so I've kind of been dragging my feet a bit to hopefully we'll get this black line copy.
That's what I'm going to ask.
No, I was looking at it today online because, which is something else I'm going to bring up in a minute, and trying to, in my head, because I know the old code so well, which page it's on, how to find something, blah, 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 blah. And now we have this new code. I keep going back to the other one to see if it's, what's changed, what's the,
Do we have it digitally? Do we have both digitally?
no.
No.
Oh, what do you mean digitally?
Do we have digital copies?
I think we have a PDF file,
We have
right?
PDF files of the old and the new.
Really?
Yes. Can
You have
you?
them? I can check it right now.
I don't know if it's a complete match. Is it everything in the code?
So we,
I don't know.
Some
So we-
sections left out?
That's just it. We don't know. Hold on, let me get
There's
this.
something called a Praxis merge I used to use years
If
ago.
you can
And
do
you
this,
put
that's
two
awesome.
files in there, and it checks files, which is new, which is old, which is missing. So people who are more technical than me could probably run that easily.
Let me see.
And I've asked him twice at the public meetings when he was sitting there, how are you
Yeah.
coming with this? Oh, it's difficult, we're working on it. So I am getting the feeling that unless somebody pushes him a little further, which would be you probably, that we're not gonna get anything in for a long time, if ever.
All right, here, I'm gonna send this to Shannon. This is my last known copy. I think it's 2022 copy, and then I will send you the current one that's on the website.
So Shannon, you think you could run this, with some software and do a comparison? If you have both files?
I mean, it's possible they're too big, but
It's
it's worth trying.
You can
We
try
will
it. Yeah,
If
you
it
can
doesn't
try
work,
it.
We haven't lost anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of just difficult the way that they restructured it. It's not in the same order.
so that
That's what made my head hurt a lot.
Yeah, that's.
I kind of like the way they've got it done, but it made my head hurt because I'm just too used to it the other way.
The other sort of thing ethically, is how is these laws have to be commented by the public?
I know
And
this.
then they change the law, how can the average public person in this town come in there and make any comments on the changes, because you don't know what.
unless you know what the changes are.
Yeah, and then didn't we also have a committee for this?
There was a subcommittee that worked
Yeah.
on some of the zoning changes, but I don't know. But there were I mean, it's not just a zoning law that's been restated, it's all town laws.
Yes, yeah, and that's the thing is it's all.
And the committee didn't touch anything outside of zoning, I think.
I don't remember public hearing for that committee when they were working.
I think that's right. And there was some concern over that there was not, it started out being kind of like a working group, and then there was some concerns raised that it was not public, and so then it was open to the public,
Right.
even though the working group was not a formally appointed by the town board or anything, but the meetings were made available, open to the public. But then I dropped off the
Where
meetings.
did you see that? I don't remember seeing that. That's this me.
So this was maybe a couple of years ago, I want to say, or at least 18 months ago.
Yeah, I've seen it more recently.
And do you remember where it was announced? I'm just curious now.
It was announced on the town website,
Town website.
but I don't know how many public meetings there were. Maybe only one or two.
Sounds like the STR law.
It was similar to the STR law, and it was done at about the same time as the STR. It was when working groups were ongoing.
First one's the 2000.
To my knowledge, was the last
It's like
updated version.
2008. Once you open it.
It is 2008, but it is the 2022 revised edition that was on the website, which I believe was the very last one that was on there.
Yeah.
I have tons of them. I have them all saved somewhere because it confused me constantly. And then, all right, we'll just, as we do all this, we'll go to the next thing. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. So we don't really have anything else. We have in the new business, we have, you know.
So, but just on this point, one way or the other, it sounds like, should I complete a review by the next meeting, our next meeting on December 4? I mean, is that a reasonable goal?
Do you think you can?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
I think it's a reasonable goal for our next meeting.
that won't be a problem.
All right, that'd be great then.
So, Shannon can either get me the results, or I can try harder to. So I don't have, if you, so I have a PDF version of the restatement, which is available on the town's website. But I don't have, so the earlier version to compare it to, what I have is this stuff. I don't have the 2002.
Yeah, that's what I have. You don't have the 2022?
No, I don't have that.
I can send that to
If
you.
you can send that to me,
Yeah, I can.
that would be very helpful.
Because I have, like I said, I have every copy of the last couple of years that they kept changing it on the
Because
website.
I didn't realize that the 2022 version existed.
Yep, neither
Because
did I
that-
until one day when I was freaking out.
That,
One of my brain thingies. I'm almost there. I almost have the answer to this question. 71-77 Dayheim. So it's
Wow.
Can you say it again? Sorry.
71-77 Dayheim. Give me a minute.
51-77.
Partial access, I have everything. So yes, thank you for having a few.
okay, yeah, I'll do that one way or the other by the next
If
one.
you need anything from me besides that, which I'll get to you shortly.
Then that will be fine, because then I also can work on compare rate programs.
That'd be great. Thank you. So also on new business, we lost David, who retired from us. So I did, we sent him a letter thanking him for his service, which was since the inception of the
That's
CAC.
what I thought.
Yeah, he was one of the first
Original member.
original members, so that was very nice. I discussed with Gary about doing something to commemorate that, and similar to what they did for Mary, and I think it'd be a nice gesture. We missed them already, but we see them around, so that's
So he won't be coming, the resignation is effective immediately,
immediately.
not at the end of the year.
No, just immediately,
Okay.
just that they,
Well, that's how he stated his letter.
yeah. Due to his health,
Help.
more than anything.
Yeah.
So-
If he's not elected, so it really doesn't make any difference what he does it. If you're elected, if you're elected and you resign, appoint before the next election comes up,
Mm-hmm.
you have to run in that election. So if, let's say Leslie resigned in July, just make it up, and then they appoint somebody in August to fill her position. When the election comes up for the town officials, which would be now,
Mm-hmm.
they would have to rerun in that election. So the town has a habit in the past of waiting until that date passes, and then the person says, I'm resigning. And so the town can appoint somebody. They used to appoint them for the entire expired term,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody pointed out that the law says they have to run in the next election instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what's happening with her. She technically resigned before the election date, November 1st, but they didn't appoint anybody to fill that position. And I'm assuming that they have to appoint somebody at a public meeting, and they just can't say we appointed. So I'm assuming, I don't know for a fact legally.
I don't know either.
So the next meeting is coming up soon.
Mhm.
See if they appoint anybody at that meeting.
So we're waiting to hear who replaces Leslie and gives us our new liaison. But we do want to thank Leslie for all of her hard work with
That's right.
us, the CSC, and also on the town board. She was an amazing factor in all of it. So
Mhm.
she will be missed. I did have an email from an architect who had worked on one of the past applications for the planning board. I think it could have been the ZBA. I can't remember which one it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just asking who they could talk to about advice before they went to the planning board, for instance. They said, is it appropriate to talk to the CAC?
All right, is that the question, or do you have an answer?
I may or may not, but the question is, do they have to formally go to the planning board, or can they ask us aspects of the application prior? Because I said they have the work.
I don't know if there's any restriction on people coming to our meetings and talking to us.
And even just contacting us
Yeah.
is what their question was. Because the reason being, because I know they have the workshops now, which I don't remember them having workshops previously for the planning board and the CBA.
Oh, yes, they have.
They did?
They did away with them.
So they did away with them for a while. Okay, that explains why I don't really remember them. So they went before the ZBA or the planning board with this application, which they were told there should be no problem with doing. They went into doing it, and it was totally denied. So then, it wasted their clients' time and money
Mm-hmm.
for something that should have been quite simple, but I'm sure it was a non-conforming issue. I'm sure it was a neighbor issue, so it got denied. So they just wanted to know, does this meet the criteria to go before one of the boards? Kind of a thing. They were like, can they ask us and give an opinion legally or ethically?
I mean, the planning board and CBA application requirements are quite technical, and we only focus on a narrow subset of
Right.
issues.
Right.
So, I mean, I'd be comfortable talking to any applicant in advance about our perspective on their issues, but we're just one small piece of
Correct,
a larger puzzle.
I think they appreciate that, but the question is, okay, so I'm going to assume, which I don't know which property is or anything, I really don't, I kind of know a little bit of it, but I'm going to say it's a non-conforming use lot because it's now in a wetlands, and what they want to do is in the wetlands buffer.
Well, we can let them know in advance that we will say, we will write a critical letter that
There's a lot
says,
about that.
Right, I know,
It
so
says-
we have that, but then the other part of it, because it then creates the 25% issue
again,
and from what I understood, is it had an extension already between the time of between the May 13th, 1971.
Something
So
like
they've
that.
already had one extension, which means it's the non-conforming. They can't do another one
Right.
if it is over 20. So I kind of gave him the information there
Mm-hmm.
for him to look into and say, this is something for you to understand before you go before one of them again. How they interpret it is something different. So
Right.
it's
Is it a wetlands problem?
Because part of it too may be that this is a professional trying to get ammunition to go back to his client and say, you have a problem here.
So it's, to my knowledge, it's the house and the previous extension is already in the wetlands. Like, it's an existing home. The wetlands made it non-conforming. It's now in the buffer zone, I believe.
The wetlands made it non-conforming.
Yeah. Well, if we, the same as,
I might be right, I just don't.
well, no, the same as, I can't think of their names, but the ones that, the rock people or where the people had the,
Oh, I know what you mean.
yeah, over on that.
Burbank Road.
So, yeah,
Or Oak Summit.
Oaks,
Or
somewhere
some-
over there.
or One of those.
One over there
There was
somewhere.
two, Oak Summit, Burbank.
So if the wetlands law did not exist, they could have done whatever they wanted there, basically.
Well, the guy that wanted to put the house next to the rock, is that the one? Or the guy that
The ones that
took down a building and didn't tell anybody?
no, this is the one that ended up taking the septic out of the wetlands and putting it in a different location.
I think that's the Oak Summit.
I don't remember.
That doesn't matter.
But anyway, but if the wetlands wasn't there, it wouldn't have been a problem. So that's the same with these people.
All right, so we do wetland now. I guess that's a good question for us, I suppose. But we don't do all the other things.
No, I know. So that's what I was saying to him. I personally said, they do the workshop so that you can find out this stuff in advance. But I understand they also don't want to waste the client's time if it's something that is not
Is
allowable.
that something that somebody talked about with, what's her name? CAC Meeting? Yeah, I remember some conversation somewhere about, what do you do with people that just have minor things that they
Right.
have questions about?
Yeah,
And I don't know if we got into the zoning code or not, because they have the new quote unquote zoning code now.
right. So I don't know
That came
how,
up with them once somewhere.
so who gets to do that? If there's just a minor question, who answers it? Do they just go to the secretary for the ZBA or the planning board?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, you're asking if we formally can do this or should do this on occasion.
Well, it doesn't come up very often.
Yeah.
And if it's such a clear-cut case like this one, where the client might be better off knowing in advance that will be very critical of a proposal, then
I have
I
no
don't-
problem
I
with
don't- I don't-
personally.
I have no problem
Yeah.
previewing what, of course, who's ever talking to them can't say, this is the view of the CAC because we haven't had a
Right.
meeting.
Exactly.
But
These are the facts.
But given our past thinking about construction in the wetlands buffer, it's not a hard,
But they have to
Question have.
understand that we're not legally responsible for what we tell them. But if we tell them something that is wrong, and then a lot of expenses come out of that because we CAC.
all we're doing
Yeah, it's saying-
is forecasting the likely CAC view of something. And that is not something that you would,
They would still have to go to the ZBA
No,
planning
that's
board or
not what
whatever.
I'm saying. A lot of times you come across, well, maybe not a lot, but maybe more when your lines work than mine. And a little disclaimer, we're not responsible for any damages or whatever based on our advice, something like that.
which is sort of what we're saying is that, we're talking to you in advance, but we're not speaking for the CAC.
Yeah.
No, I'm going further. I'm saying that I would be more comfortable if they agree that what we tell them and hold us safe, harmless.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That they won't rely on what we're,
Yeah, that we're not giving them our final judgment of the, opinion of it. It's just that we're saying this is probably what you would experience based on past applications.
And what you'd experience from the CAC. We have no idea what would happen at the planning board.
Right.
There is something in the code, I don't know if we get covered on this or not, I think we're covered. I'm going to use the term stay harmless again. It means that as long as you act in good faith in your job and your advisement, you're not liable.
That's right.
I think we're covered under that.
I think you're right.
We will review. So, all right, so I just kind of,
Thank you for keeping us informed.
yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know that that was a question that came up,
Mhm.
and, yeah. I really just gave them a new copy of the new zoning code and wetlands law stuff, so. And nothing else? No, that's it. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the team? Public? No public today. Sorry.
A motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. See you at the next meeting.
All right, so now that we're done with the meeting, and I know it's not technically all talking.